Cool. Welcome everybody. I hope you all got to see the full moon rise. I'm looking at it right now. It's really stunning. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing great. Super excited to have Linda Richards on here to talk this evening. And this webinar is being recorded right now. So for folks who couldn't attend, or if you want to rewatch it, we'll be sending out a follow-up in the next few days. Um, And feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself and use the Q&A for questions, and I will be monitoring both of those things. So I'll try to answer questions as they come, and maybe we'll have time in the end too. Yeah, Linda, take it away.
Okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I
Okay.
can hear you. I'm assuming everyone else can too.
All right, good. Well, thanks for joining us on this during this busy season. Yeah, here I am in front of our Redlands yard, one of the places I'm going to talk about. And in addition to being crazy native plant people, we are crazy parrot people. This is Cyrano, which is our macaw, one of our two macaws. We got her as a baby, and then since then we have gotten some others, but they're all second or third or fourth hand birds. This is Redlands. I have this one labeled the bladder pod just because in the rest of the talk I don't have a good picture of it, but that's one of my favorite plants. And I also like to warn people, I have a science background, but I've not taken a plant biology course ever in my life. Learned all this as a layperson. So if you are new to California natives or just few years in, just know that you can learn it in time. Okay, how did I get interested in California native plants? I got to find the button here. I grew up in the Midwest, used to a lot of rainfall, and then we lived in Flagstaff, Arizona, where we got seasonal rain. But in 2002, we moved to San Diego County, and this is a property that we had there looking down in this canyon. The previous owner had removed a lot of the California natives for a struggling orchard, and so we started plugging in what was native to the area. And we happened to move there during a drought. I think that first year we got 4 inches of rain. I mean, maybe it was even less than that. But lo and behold, and I didn't know that it didn't rain very much in California. I had no idea. Lo and behold, in the spring, the hillsides became alive with blooming plants. I was shocked. I thought, how can these plants survive? So I thought, I'm going to learn about these. Then after San Diego County, we moved to Redlands. This is the house that we got in the fall of 2008. And it took us a while to get it. It was a short sale, kind of pre-foreclosure. And while we were waiting, the lawn died. And we were actually kind of happy about that because it gave us an opportunity to plant some California natives. So this is our front yard. It's a little over a half an acre. And one thing we really liked about the property was it also had all this old growth California natives down below. For example, you can see a bench right here. If you see my cursor, that's one of those cement benches. And this is a 90-year-old sugar bush. We know that it's about that old just because there's a fire scar on it and there's no history of fire in the area. So we really like that fact that we had some old growth. Here's a toyon, and we've been removing some non-natives around in this area so that the California natives will thrive. And we've gotten a lot of young ones from that. The toyons feed the robins, and growing up in the Midwest, if some of you were from there, you know it's so exciting when the robins first arrive in the spring. And so here they arrived here a couple weeks ago. So I finally got a photo of one eating a toyon berry, but they seem to love those. Let me go back to this one. So this is the before, and here is 16 months later. Unlike in San Diego County, we had good rain that year, and it was so nice that everything did well, especially our manzanitas. We planted one, two, three, four different varieties of manzanitas, and they all survived. We have not lost a manzanita, which I know is unusual for many. But we still have a lot of these plants, Cleveland sage, alpine sage. This is one of our favorite buckwheats. And I will have a favorite list at the end of the show that you can take a photo of or take some notes from. The ceanothus, we don't have any more in the front. We've had the same experience that many have had. So now we're 16 years later and all our ceanothus has passed away. So this is today. Well, or I took this a few days ago. This is what it looks like. And there's lessons learned, as I think any of us that do California natives have learned, is that there's always some mistakes that you make. And one of our main ones is we had too many tall things in the front. You know, our Bee's Bliss sage has been great, but it's probably, oh, 8 feet by 12 feet. I mean, it's huge now. But we planted a sage here that's too high. You know, we needed to have lower growing plants in the front. A lot of our flowering things are in the back. I mean, this is great in the spring, but it's nice to have that year-round color. The sunset manzanitas, everything is just, as I said, done really well. Not everything, but the ones that you see here have done really well. Baja birdbush is one of these rare ones, and I'll talk about trying to get some rarer endangered ones if you can. We also have this neighbor's oak. We have a lot of little oaks, but we benefit from the neighbor's oak tree, which brings a lot of insects and helps us with all our bird population. So what I plan to cover, I showed you a little bit about the Redlands yard. I'll show more. And then we were blessed to inherit a vacation home in Morro Bay, which is on the Central Coast. And so, hey, got to transform that. There was a rebate going on for grass transformation. So I think we got $500 for taking out the grass lawn. So that was great. I'll talk about favorite plants for habitat gardens and for seasonal color. And then the thing that I'm most excited about is this last one. I began my fascination with California native plants with trying to understand how do they survive? How can they survive on such little rainfall? And then lately I've turned to the habitat value. And so I have some information on from our yard and photos of what the natives have helped bring in. Okay, so some comparisons. I try to show how, you know, we have the color in the spring and summer, early summer, and then how you can get some color in the fall. So this is inside that fence in the front yard looking in. We have this agave from Mexico, which keeps sending up its stalk, but then there's always a new one that takes over. We're hoping this one does its little stalk this year. Fingers crossed because it's really big. Our manzanitas, we have a Lester Roundtree and La Panza, and we have nice color from the Nevins Barbary, which is our rare and endangered one that is endemic or used to grow in many more places in our canyons. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. You have the blooming Cleveland sage, and then the nice color of the fuchsias. They'll bloom in the fall, but they offer that nice color. And then the brittle bush, of course, will bring some spring color, spring and summer. So same view in the fall. We have the Menzies golden bush that is blooming now. Brittle bush is still a nice color. And then I'll have better pictures of fuchsia, but we have our blooming fuchsia that offers that really great red burst of color. So this is in April. This is just where I was standing and take that one photo. This is just looking the other direction. So we have the new growth on the golden bush, which is that beautiful green. We have the colors from the penstemon, woolly blue curls. We have a woolly blue curls that has survived for 16 years now. I know that's shocking for many people, but it's still with us. And then monkey flowers. We do have some non-natives. We're not purists. You know, if they have some habitat value, we keep them. Some lavender that we've taken some out just because they require more water. They need more water to look good than the rest of them. So we have taken some of those out. And then in the October, here's a view. They have the same Menzies golden bush that has its yellow color. And then here's our St. Catherine's lace buckwheat, which has been done great in our yard. This is looking on the backside of that manzanita. Well, this is the Lester Roundtree. My husband is filling a bird bath. We have a lot of bird baths on the property. And we have a sage here that's blooming. And there's so many different sage options that I kind of go to the nursery, good native plant nursery, and talk about what size I want, how much sun it's going to get, and usually can get a pretty good sage to plug in there. And then this is a similar view. This is that bird bath that my husband was filling. Here are the fuchsias, and this is a year where they went crazy. And we have learned you gotta cut them back in the wintertime. And then we've come to the fact where we have to cut them back another time, partway through the growing season, because otherwise they look like this. And then here's where they're a little bit more manageable. Was there anything more to say about that? I guess not. Okay. And then we had a dog when we moved there, so we wanted to have a little lawn. So we put in a lawn with blue grama and buffalo grass, which are both Western grasses. There's some varieties of those in California. And so this is in April. We have the poppies. We always seem to have a sunflower that comes from somewhere. Same with everlasting. I don't know where this everlasting plant showed up from, but our bees bliss gives some really nice colors. And here we have sage and buckwheats. And then here's what it looks like in the fall and winter. It's very low maintenance. We cut it back once, and that's in the winter. And so this is a year where it turned more colors. This year we've gotten rain, so it's staying green. And anyway, so this is what it can look like. I'm not going to go into a lot, but do have some containers, and our front yard faces west, so this is a hot area. Oh, and I didn't mention in Redlands. So where is Redlands? Sorry about that. We're on the way from Los Angeles to Palm Springs. So we're about 40-minute drive from our house to Palm Springs. So we can get up to 110 degrees in the summer, very low humidity. It's challenging. The summertime is very challenging. So, but we've maintained this fairy duster for probably 10, 12 years. As long as we water it once a week, it seems like it does well. So on the left here, we have the spring view with the poppies. We throw down some wildflower seeds and see what comes up. This year we had California bluebells and poppies. And then in the fall, we have the fuchsias that come alive, of course. And then Everlasting was our volunteer. And then here's another view of it. So that's how we do some of our containers. And then we also have succulents and cactus out in front. Um, I do encourage people to look and see if they can get a rare plant from the nursery. They'll be around at times. In our area, one of the great one is this Nevins barberry, and it's a large shrub. It's kind of prickly, so you don't want to put it where you're going to have your kids or grandkids running around. But it has beautiful April blooms that the bees and wasps love. And then in June, it has these great red berries that I have an interesting story. So here we have the Nevins barberry and then the buckwheat. And there are some populations of this. At first, I was thinking there weren't any in the wild around us, but they have located some old Nevins barberry. So my story is the first year or two, it didn't have berries. We had some blooms, but not that many. And the first couple years, the birds just ignored it. They didn't recognize it. They weren't used to it. And then the mockingbirds and the jays discovered it, and we don't usually have a berry left with the season. So here's a mockingbird feeding one of its babies. We've through trial and error, we find where things will go. And so here in our rose bed where it gets more water, that's where the evening primrose goes, and that's where the yarrow has survived. I've had it out in the front, and I should mention that some of this is all irrigated in our backyard, but the front is not. We had some irrigation at first, it was a spray, but then it broke, and my husband and I prefer to just hand water. He'll take one side, and I'll take the other. And our watering regimen is on a cloudy day or a cooler day in the summer. Well, we might do once a month. Otherwise, we pray for rain. So yeah, common yarrow. And then we have that silly ball fountain, which the pump is broken, so we just use it to put up some of our yard art for the seasons. So we're going to fly over to Morro Bay. And I have a little map here. This is by San Luis Obispo. If people haven't been there, Santa Barbara is an hour and a half south of us. So that's where we're located. And our place is pretty close to the bay, so we get a lot of coastal influence. And this is our lawn. When we bought the place, as I mentioned, they were having a rebate program. So I think I got $500 for taking out our lawn. It was great. Um, and then this was unfortunately was an avocado tree, who knows how old, 70. I think we did meet a relative of the people who had the house at the very beginning. So they probably planted it in the 50s. So unfortunately, though, it was affecting the plumbing of the people in the back. So we took that out. And so we decided we would do a pathway with this slab of concrete here. So that was our plan. And then this is when we started planting. So this is not even 2 years ago was where we put in, we tried to do 1 gallon, some 4 inches, 4 inchers, smaller the better. We put everything in a gopher basket because there are gophers that get into this yard. So this was in January 2024. And this is 6 months later. So again, we had some good rains that year. The coastal influence really helped things. So we had the poppies coming in. We had a sunflower that appeared. I don't know how they always just appear. We didn't plant it. Um, One of our favorite ceanothus, the wild lilac, is the anchor blue, which is from the coast. Sea cliff buckwheat, and then I'll go into some of these others that we planted that we've had good luck with. Not everything has survived, but most everything has. So this spring, I had thrown some poppy seeds out, and look what happened. I mean, they went bonkers, a little bit too much. So this year I gave away a lot of poppy seeds. I'm going to have my contact information. If anybody needs some poppy seeds, I have more. If you can come by either in Redlands or Morro Bay. So, and this is a month and a half later is what it looks like not too long ago. Some of our favorite plants I've noted here, the red buckwheat, the rubescens has done great. We've had some die on different places in the yard. The Santa Cruz Island buckwheat is very happy. That's from the Channel Islands, which is not that far from us. So it's been fun to plant some of those species. We found a place for our evening primrose, which is gone a little nuts. We also have evening primrose we can give away to people. So yeah, here it is in July 2025. And then this Artemisia is one that showed up. We didn't plant that. So, and this is a view from the back. So this is the former lawn. We had this, we wanted to have some fruit trees, so we kept this mandarin orange. This one was pretty diseased, so we took it out. And then this is just maybe a month or two ago. So from the back, there's some other ones here. We have a red berry. We have an island manzanita that we planted, which is from the Channel Islands. We have our avocado, new avocado tree that's growing. Um, and with this has been a nice grass. You always try different grasses to see what's gonna do well. And I really like the sand dune sedge. However, it does spread. I mean, it's there, we have a lot of young ones of those. We kept a lot of some of the original plants, like for example, there's these sago palms. But for example, we had these Indian hawthorns, this row of them here, and they really do not have habitat value. I mean, that's one thing I recommend people when I'm starting to learn about California native plants and how they attract native bees and wasps is just watch for a while. Look at something like an Indian hawthorn, and I did not see any bugs or anything on it. So we replaced those and put in blue-eyed grass, the red buckwheats, and then this is actually a hybrid from our Redlands yard that I brought in, and it loves it there. It's a hybrid between St. Catherine's lace and I believe Santa Cruz Island buckwheat. It seems similar. It's kind of that rounded view to it. Back fence, we also took out some of these shrubs. It was the crown daisy shrub, which were pretty. They have like a daisy flower, but they were old and not doing all that great. And we had these old jade plants. I was able to find some homes for some of the jade plants that we took out. And then we put in a medley of California natives. So this sage, I didn't think it was going to survive. Similar to our Redlands home, I think we're making a similar mistake in planting too many plants because we think they're not going to all survive. But this was a stick with just a couple leaves on it. This sage right here. Where's my cursor? Yeah. So that's done well. This ribes is a fuchsia flowering gooseberry. I had bought that. We were saving it for Morro Bay. We were leaving from Redlands, and I had it in back of the car because I didn't want us to forget it. And so my husband ran over it and just flattened it, but it was still alive. So we planted it, and it's going to make it, I think. Not everything is done great. Maybe it's too shady. We have a white sage back here. It's not doing as well as say these the ceanothus, the dark star ceanothus that are doing great. But here's some more primrose. We didn't plant that there. They have spread. And then my husband is killing me for this, but I wanted to try a California thistle, which is beautiful. Again, it can really spread. You have to be careful, but it's a great wildlife magnet. Lots of bees and things. Um, every place has its maintenance issues. And in Redlands, what do we have? We have a lot of oak trees. If anybody wants an oak tree, come and contact me. But in Morro Bay, I think they pronounce it oxalis, but we had those all over. So we have done war on this plant. You have to get it way down to the root. Some of you are probably familiar with it. The other thing we have is Monterey cypress trees. We put in mulch from a Monterey cypress. So guess what we have here? We have a lot of Monterey cypress trees. So we don't need anything that big. Locals, you can come and get some from us. Mistakes, there's always some mistakes. Look where we planted this silver lupin. It was great when we planted it. We didn't know if it was going to survive. It was a 4-incher, very small. Well, look what it did. This is after 1 year. Um, So we have cut this back. We're going to keep it, but we're going to have to keep this pruned. Here's an example. We did keep a lot of our bottle brush. It attracts a lot of bees and birds. It's we like it. So we've kept a bunch of our bottle brush. So habitat value, I love this quote. I don't know how many of you know Antonio Sanchez. He was with a California Botanic Garden. I think he's with Santa Monica, something now. But he had this quote. He was in a talk, and I thought, oh, I love this. Since native plants and local wildlife have been pollinating and feeding each other for thousands of years, when they find each other in gardens, it's like old friends meeting. And I think if you haven't discovered that, you will as you put more natives in. It's like these insects and the birds, they just start appearing. Butterflies. It's like, well, how did they hear? So I'm going to show you some examples of that. This is one reason we're so happy our manzanitas have done well. Our Lester Roundtree blooms in January. We have another one that blooms in February, and the sunset is more February and March, and it brings the bumblebees out of hibernation, and they can come to the Lester Roundtree, and it's so fun just to watch them emerge. So this is a black-tail bumblebee, which is the most common one in our area. Um, the hoverfly, there are so many flies and native wasps and bees that I was going back to one of my articles and had, I think it's 1,600 native bees in California. But so this is the hoverfly, and I have since discovered that it's an important predator of the Asian citrus psyllid, the one that had the quarantines on all the citrus trees. It's one of the most important predators, a natural predator. So here's an example of a hoverfly on brittlebush. And then I like this one because here we have a European honeybee. It shows the size of our honeybee that was imported from Europe. And then you can see why sometimes we don't notice or are able to get photos. Here's a tiny cuckoo bee right here on the same size flowers. And they're so hard to get a photo of. So I was very happy to get this photo. So you're not going to see a lot of these little guys, or you'll just see them flitting by. And then we have the foxes. We have a wildlife camera, and we've seen fox before, and bobcats and possums and raccoons. Well, this girl we saw on our back by our pool area, and you can see she was lactating. You could see her kind of swollen little belly here. And we thought, uh-oh, there's going to be more foxes. And lo and behold, it was a month, maybe 6 or 7 weeks later, but we have the young one. So it was really exciting. It's exciting to watch everything, and we know why they're there. At first, in that back one, these are loquats from a loquat tree. But then we noticed they were eating our manzanita berries because those don't always get eaten. They were eating a lot of our native plants too. And then I didn't put the photo up here, but then they started eating the mammals. Luckily, we don't have a cat. If we did, we wouldn't have it outside anyway. But one time I was looking out our bedroom window, and one came by with a big fat squirrel, a big squirrel. And then we started seeing that, oh my gosh, we do not have many squirrels anymore. So they finally moved on. We weren't too sad since they had really done a number on the squirrels, but I have to say the squirrels are back. We have a lot of squirrels again. Probably the main thing is we've seen so many more nesting birds, and I think that's because we have so many insects on our property. And I did a little study. I think some of you have heard of Doug Tallamy, or if you haven't, please look him up. He's a professor on the East Coast, Douglas Tallamy. And he's done a lot of research on habitat value of California natives. And he has a chickadee study where it's like thousands of insects that are required to raise their young. I had my hip replaced in April, so I was recouping in our bedroom, and at the same time that we had this Buick's wren couple that were raising a brood. So I decided I would count the insects and try to document, do my own little study. So in 30-minute increments, I would try to record what type of insect it was, which was not usually successful. I think that moths and butterflies were the top. But when I extrapolated, I discovered towards the end of the nestlings' time in the box, they were getting about 250 insects a day from this couple. And they were getting them from our yard. I mean, they were back in very short time. So that's been a fascinating thing about our property. So I'd like to put in a pitch for habitat value, save some seeds for the birds. If you have some of these that are in your median or where people are going to see it, you can cut those back. But here are, you know, the the goldfinches eating the fuchsia seeds in October and then also in December. So we have our place kind of messy. It's not for everybody, but we believe in feeding the wildlife. So, and here's an example in Morro Bay. If you remember all those um, poppies, well, for days we left a lot of them on the ground as we were cleaning them up because we had, especially this one mourning dove couple, they were there nonstop many times during the day, the whole day. So that means keeping things a little messy. It was in the backyard. Nobody's going to see it for those days. And then a few other things, I'm still learning my butterflies. I'm not very great at it, but I like to try to get a photo of them if I can. And then we have a ladybug factory every year on one of our plants. This was on our Warner Lytle buckwheat. So you can see the different phases of the ladybugs that really help take care of all our aphids. How are we doing time-wise? I probably went kind of fast.
Um, we have time. It's 6 o'clock. You have another half an hour, and there's a lot of questions that I
Yeah,
think are
okay.
fine.
So I'm going to go back to this page, but I do have our favorite native plants for seasonal beauty and habitat value. So I'll go back to this. But we have just kind of to summarize some of these. I try to get things that are native to your location. Using Calscape is a great one to see the map of where these plants are from and the Central Coast. And we're newbies there, so there's going to be some people in the audience that are going to have some good suggestions too. But we have had a lot of fun trying the Channel Island and coastal varieties, like for the buckwheats um, like yeah, the Santa Cruz Island buckwheat, the red flowered, the conejo. I don't have a photo of that, but that's done really well. Another one I like to point out is it's fun. We have a giant coreopsis that we planted that's native to Baja and in the Channel Islands, but that's a fun one to try. So I'll go back to this, but I wanted to end with this one. And here's my contact information. I'm serious. I'm a garden ambassador, so I don't mind showing our yards. If you live near Redlands, text or email me, and I'll see if I can get you over when we're in town. Or same with the Morro Bay. We do have plants in Redlands. I have a lot of toyans and hollyleaf cherries. So if somebody is looking for some of those. Um, and then I also have a website. I started this maybe 15 years ago. Well, no, maybe it's not that long. No, probably 10 years ago. If nature could talk, a lot of them are older articles, but they're all about our transformation of our yard, the Redlands yard, and trimming trees. I was on our city's tree committee. So I really get upset with people that over trim their trees. So I get to harp about that on my website with my article. So check out my website, please. So I'll go between these two. But yeah, I'm ready for questions.
Okay. I'm gonna just start from the bottom. Were there any attempts of relocating or transplanting a plant to different areas when you find it wasn't happy in a current area?
Say that the first part again. We're about
So,
relocating.
did you ever try like relocating or transplanting plants to a different part of your yard when it wasn't happy? Like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Not when they get too big. We try to get them early. We have when I try to get them like that bees bliss sage that creeps out. If I can get those with the little roots on them, those can transplant pretty well. Um, Digging up a major big plant has not done well. If it has, it's because I've done it in the fall, early winter. I think when I've done that later in the season, it doesn't seem to work very well.
Got it. Um, and also, someone wanted to let you know that you can get a new pump with a solar panel to get the ball fountain going again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. Some of it is with mosquitoes. There's so many mosquitoes now
Hmm.
that, yes, but thank you for that. I I think we have to take the ball apart, which is really heavy to get that down there. I mean, you feel free to email me if you have another suggestion, but yeah, but thank you.
Someone asked about cutting your Menzies golden bush to the ground annually and what time of
Yes.
year? Okay.
Yes, yes. We do. As you can see with our yard, we're not very good with pruning. Um, and that's one thing we've learned with our Cleveland sage. We should have cut those back the first few years, and we did not. But with the Menzies, and that one is pretty forgiving. I didn't do it for several years, and now I do. I usually cut it to, I think people have cut it back to the ground, and it does fine. I usually do it to like a third of its size, but I have heard you can go even lower than that.
Yeah.
Ours faces, as I said, west and Redlands, so it's pretty hot.
Hmm.
I think it would do better with a little afternoon shade, so I'm a little nervous about cutting it too deep.
Hmm. Yeah, and then also back on the salvias, do you cut them back in the fall or early spring?
Um, we will do that. It's usually early spring with our Cleveland sage. And again, we didn't do it for years.
Yeah.
And so you can't cut into that old growth we have learned. But
Mhm.
you don't want to wait too long when you're cutting off the flowers either. So yeah, there's that sweet spot. When you're
Mhm.
just starting to see some new growth is when we tend to cut those back, if we
Got
cut
it.
them back.
And then that fairy duster that you had in the container, do you
Yeah.
water once a week year round, or how often do you water?
Oh, yeah. That's kind of maintenance. And sometimes it's every 2 weeks, seriously, because
Oh,
we're not around. And that's not, in the winter we tend to not water, have our irrigation on. We hope it's gonna rain. So that's more, when the heat starts hitting, that once a week or once every 2 weeks. Um, and it seems to do okay. It does
mhm.
much better with once a week, but it will live with every other week watering.
Yeah, got it. What are your thoughts on nativars? Do you try to go for straight species when possible, or is that a concern for you?
So, what the first part of that again was?
What are your thoughts on like
The high.
cultivars versus native?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've done it all. Like some of the cultivars, isn't Bees Bliss?
Hmm.
Is that a cultivar? See,
Hmm.
I know, I'm pretty sure it is. So
Yeah.
some of them have been great. So we do both. We
Yeah.
do both. And it's nice. I mean, the California, for example, the California buckwheat, it's not as pretty as some of the other buckwheat. So I'm all supportive of getting some of the hybrids
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
cultivars. Yeah.
Are you concerned about high fuel volume close to your Redlands home?
Yes. We're very close to a golf course, so we're not in a high fire zone, but I know that can always change. We do worry. I mean, we and around all around the house, we have the containers, but we do have the carport there, which is where you saw some of the manzanitas. So if we did have to cut back to the 5 feet, we would lose a side of our manzanitas. So I hope that doesn't happen. We do try to not have anything touching. Um, and we just do everything else for fire danger. And around the rest of the house, we don't have plants right up against it.
Got it. Okay, great. Okay, let's see what else. What kind of camera do you use?
Oh, yeah, I have a point and shoot for the bird ones. It's a Canon power shot. I don't have it here. I'd show it to you. But yeah, it's been really good. And then I'm doing more on my iPhone. Those cameras are getting better all the time. But some of the birds and the insects, I will use my Canon Power Shot. It's one of the newer ones, maybe $400 or so, 450.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it's small size for easy carrying.
Hmm. Great. Okay, let's see. How many neighbors have you infected with a native plant bug?
Not that many. I think they kind of put up with us. No, there's some. I have a person next door. He says if I want to give him some plants for his median to please do that. Um, it's funny that people on the other side of us, they've taken out all their plants. I mean, but they have a very they have a yard that emphasizes, playing in the pool and, games and all that. So we're like totally opposites, but we get along. They're fine. Um, and then 2 doors down, we have somebody who's really into California natives. So we have affected a couple people.
Cool.
Help.
Great. Um, let's see. Someone's asking about thoughts for coffee berry and bunch grasses and California fescue. I don't know what the thoughts are.
Um, okay, say the first one.
I don't know. It wasn't
Was it
really
red
in
berry? Was it red berry?
coffee berry.
Oh, coffee berry. Um, yeah, we have a San Bruno, what's it called? San Bruno coffee berry.
Yeah, Mount San Bruno
Yeah,
coffee berry.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
And that was on the back fence there, and it seems like it's doing well. I think it's going to get rather big, but I'm very happy with it so far. But it's just a couple years old. And then the other fescue, did you say?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. The fescues and the deer grasses, we have not had a lot of luck. It's funny, a lot of people have great luck
Mhm.
with those. We've had some, but yeah, grasses is not my forte.
Yeah.
I have like our people, I have on our favorite list here, the purple needle grass has probably done the best. And then in the Redlands Inland Empire area, for us at least. And then, the dune sedge and milletgrass have been favorites. But I think I've heard other people talk about fescue. I just haven't had a lot of experience with it. And we have had it, but it must have died because I don't think we have it anymore.
Yeah.
And what was
Um,
there a third one they were asking about?
uh, just no, that was it. Just fescue and bunch grasses. So you pretty much
Okay.
answered it. Do you have issues with peacocks about eating poppies and sprouting seeds?
You know,
They're Louisa, I
we
think.
yeah, we do not have peacocks in our area.
Yeah.
So yeah, neither place. Yeah.
What about growing California native plants in containers?
Yeah, that's always a challenge. We we have some agave thing. And I want to get the what's the native agave? Shays? No. What am I?
Jaws, maybe?
Jaws. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have any of those. I think that would do great because we have a lot of other non-native ones. that would be good. And Dudleya, we have
Oh
in
yeah.
yeah, that's done really well in our back. We'd hit it is shaded in the afternoon, and that's done well. It will, it's supposed to dry out some and die out some in the summertime, so it's not all that attractive, but boy, in the spring it looks great. The
Hmm.
Baja Fairy Duster has probably done the best. We have a Acatillo. We've gone with
Oh,
some
cool.
more deserts, and that one has done well. Again, that I have that in a place where it gets some late afternoon shade. We
Mm-hmm.
have one out in the front, and that's still with us. It's done pretty well. So yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I have like a wine barrel planter in front of my place in San Francisco.
okay,
Um,
yeah,
I have like the Yerba Buenas just taking over and um yeah, I have what
yeah.
else do I have in there? Like a Diplicus and yarrow in containers. We have also in Calscape a new container plant filter
Oh,
that you
good,
can, yeah,
good. Another one that
deadly
we
too.
have in Morro Bay is it's a David's Choice Artemisia. It's a
Mm,
real pretty mounding one. Very nice. We have that in a terracotta pot, and it's very happy in Morro Bay. I haven't tried it in Redlands, so I don't know how it would be there, but that's done well for us.
yeah.
And feel free if I might think of some things later. You can always send me one of these questions by email, and I can you know, rack my brain and try to come up with some other things. But yeah, container gardening, we kind of just go with the easy things. We came back, we moved from San Diego with lots of cacti and succulents. So we pretty much plugged those in a lot of our containers.
Yeah. I know it's fun to experiment.
Hmm. Yeah.
I know I'm building a container plant page on Calscape too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's so much to experiment with it and
That's,
definitely very different than growing in the ground.
yes,
Um,
very good.
yeah. Have you grown Matilia poppy? Um,
Um, yeah, we did have some of that. Maybe that was in San Diego. I worry about the spreading aspect of it. If you have the right place in a big area to let it spread, I love it. That's a great plant. Um, we did plant it one time and it didn't survive. I also love Fremantia. We've tried that
mm,
here, but we, like many people, it does great and then it just succumbs. It seems like why, but there was some things getting watered 10 feet. So yeah, we tend to like the ones that are going to stay with us. That's why in Morro Bay we really just planted the dark star, the ceanothus, and maybe the things will survive a lot longer then. But the manzanitas we've been lucky with those.
mm,
I want to mention it too with our manzanitas. A lot of people ask, why do you think they've survived? And I think some of it is just luck. It was in the right spot. It was a former lawn in both places, and maybe I don't know, maybe it liked a little of the old nutrients in there. Um, but also, we never watered the stem, the crown, the main crown. We
mhm.
were very specific about watering around the manzanitas to get them established. And that's the only thing I can think of that we've done. I think that's being suggested now. But um, anyway, I just like to share that maybe that's one reason we've had good luck.
Yeah, I haven't had luck really, unfortunately, but I
I
haven't
know
tried.
most people have not. I'm sorry, we were so lucky. No,
No, that's great. I'm happy to hear it. Yeah. Um, let's see. Um, Someone asked about, oh, this is interesting. Moved here from Pennsylvania where dieback is normal for our native prairie plants heading into a cold winter. What should I expect my newly planted native plants to do this winter? Should I water accordingly to avoid dieback, or can I trust the root system of these perennials to come back for the growing season? Oh,
yeah.
that's a good question.
You really want to replicate um, nature. I'm really firmly believe that with watering. hopefully we'll get more rain. I think most of the state has gotten a good start, but you're going to have to probably supplement if we end up not getting rain. But especially in the spring and summer, like many people, we try to replicate like, well, okay, what if there was a summer shower, when it's a cloudy day and it's cooler and we just never water during a real hot spell. We'll wait a couple weeks to wait for the temperatures to cool down. So I would let them be, but if you're still just getting things established, you do have to water them that first year. So just try to think, okay, this looks like it could have been a rainy day. I'm going to really water this day, to get them through a dry winter. Um, Hopefully that answers your question. And you're mentioning the dieback. I know I'm trying to think. A lot of our plants, that's why we like sugar bush and the manzanitas. They just look good year round. We tend to like those plants that don't. Or like with the Menzies golden bush, you can tell it's time to cut that one back. But we just pretty much let them be, do their thing.
Yeah, it's good to just um match have plants match the conditions that you have.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see.
And if anybody has suggestions, I mean, because we haven't tried all the plants that are out there, especially in the Morro Bay area, feel free to put those in the chat too if you've had some really good luck with something. I'd like to read over those also.
Hmm. Yeah. Someone asked again about the kind of wildlife camera you have, but you just use a point and shoot, right?
Yeah, I think I have the point and shoot. Okay, we have a wildlife camera. I don't have any pictures of that on my website. You'll see some of my wildlife cam, but they're usually night photos. So it's just one of those hunting cameras that we use for that. If you want, I can go get my camera. It's in the other room.
I think it's
But yeah,
okay.
it's just a Canon power shot, sure shot. I don't know. One of those. They always change the numbers every year if I get them like once every 5 years, so it's a higher number.
Yeah.
Feel free to email me and I'll look it up and tell you exactly if you want more information.
Yeah, and I put in the chat earlier your website, what you have up, and we'll include
Okay.
it in the follow-up too. Um, but if there's not any other questions, we don't need to stay on. Um,
I probably went too fast, huh?
no, you did great. I mean, it was really beautiful photos and really informative and really everyone's just saying how inspiring and thank you for sharing your garden experience. It really makes me want to get in my garden and just plant a bunch of, I mean, I have the same problem where I just definitely overplant and it's like an emotional thing where I'm just like, oh, I'll just try this or.
Yeah.
So it's really
Well,
inspiring. It's not just me, but
and our thing too, if something comes up, if something, you know, starts like a sugar bush, it's like it's doing so well. It just is meant to be there. So we really have a hard time transplanting those or cutting something down that's been there for a while. Oh, here we go. My
yeah.
husband brought in my camera.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, this is a Canon. They probably have a new one, SX740HS. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that well, but um, yeah. So this is the one, and I love it. This is the zoom. It's not that big, so it's been great.
Yeah,
And I tend to use just the auto or else the real fast one. I don't get real fancy with it, but you can also do lots of manual with it.
that's great. Well,
Oh,
great.
actually, I,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mentioned too, we've done with planting, we've learned again and again our survival rate. planting in the fall and early winter is so much better. Whenever I'll still, go to a plant sale and see something in March or April and be tempted and I plant it and God, it's amazing how those often do not survive. So that's the other thing we've learned is don't plant in April and May. It just we have bad
Yeah.
luck. But try to use this time of year. And if you want to wait another year, plan it out, do a lot of reading, go visit some other people's yards and go to botanic gardens and get your ideas. And just, if you're not organized yet, you want to do a good section or just start planting a couple now and then you can see how it does and plant more next fall.
Yeah. Yeah, timing makes a big difference.
Well, feel free to
Um,
contact me, anybody.
yeah. Yeah, thanks Linda.
I
Thanks
wish
for all the insight and yeah, thanks
okay.
everyone for all the interaction and we'll follow up soon with yeah, the recording and everything. So have a good rest of your full moon night.
All right. Thanks.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Thank you.